Johnny, or should I say John? It shows John over here and it threw me off a little bit.
That's when I'm being I'm serious and I'm being professional, because that's generally what Zoom is for.
Yeah, no, it's not
few and far between those moments.
Well, dude, how's it going? It's like 6:30 in the morning right now.
It is 6:30 in the morning. It's going very well, my man. It's so good to be able to have an actual chat with you that's not over text and DM.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like anytime, like this podcast feels like we've already known each other for quite some time, but like that happens with like a lot of reactors. Like we're already like chatting over DMs, and then when we just talk, it's just like, oh, what's up? Like same thing happened with Orion when we met in person. It just was like super casual, as if we've already known each other for a while, even though it was our first time meeting up.
Yeah, that I think that's the really cool thing about the internet. If we want to be positive and talk about all the positives, I think that's such a cool thing, is that you can, form a knowledge of someone in a relationship prior to meeting up with them, and there's no awkwardness. Like I even find that happens with bands and stuff when we have contact with them, and then you meet up in person, and it's not as awkward, and there's not as much of that sort of like, what do I do? What do I say? Oh shit! Like there's that awkwardness is taken away.
Has there ever been awkwardness with a band that you interviewed?
Yeah.
Can you spill the beans? Let's get the spicy stuff already
I'm
going.
gonna spill the beans. Okay. So like the whole interview thing came as like just by chance with us. We had a few of the smaller bands that we'd done reactions for reach out and say, oh, we'd love to do a chat. And we were talking about doing podcasts or interviews at some point anyway. But the first time we actually went and did some in-person, like proper interviews, was at Full Tilt Festival up in Brisbane. And it was the first time we'd ever done anything like that. Destroy All Lines flies us up there, like hooks us up with the accommodation and all this sort of, and we were super pumped. And it was all Aussie bands. So it was like, North Lane and Alpha Wolf and Slowly and bands like that. And we were super pumped because it was our first like actual sort of in-person media, guys with microphones in the crowd talking to people. And we had, I don't know if you know the band In Heart's Wake.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And yeah, like great band, great dudes. But the first question that we asked the singer, he kind of just sort of like pondered about it. And he sort of just like looked out the window after we asked the question. And it felt like an eternity, man. And we were just sitting there. It was probably only about 5 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. We're sort of just going, is he going to answer, or is he just like completely zoned out? And we're like, do we interject? So it was more like sort of just I think it was more on us because we hadn't really done too many interviews with people. We weren't everyone else that day had been sort of like,
yeah,
crazy and getting involved and, like just different personalities. And I think that's one thing that all of the press stuff that we do has taught us, is just to be ready to accommodate certain personalities that aren't necessarily going to be jump up and down dingleberries like me and Nathan, you know what I mean? So
dingleberries. Yeah, some people are like that. Like have you ever seen Elon Musk in an interview or like a podcast? He always like takes like a couple seconds before he really thinks about what he's about to say, then he like kind of says it. But I also think someone like
I think that's
what was that? Sorry?
Continue.
Well, I was just going to say, someone like that has... Oh, it's the time zones, dude. The time zones is throwing us off. We're already like... I actually had the podcast ready an hour earlier, too. But yeah, all the way over in Australia, and I'm over in Toronto. Oh, dude, totally sidetracked, but I felt like I didn't do a good introduction for this podcast. For people that don't know, and I just assume that everyone kind of knows who you are, but still. This is Johnny from the Breakdown with Nath and Johnny, another reaction channel. I think you kind of know how I discovered you guys was just, well, obviously through your videos, but why I kind of commented on your videos was I like the dynamic. Obviously, like most people do, I think the dynamic's good, but I also like the music that you were covering, and you guys seem just chill and not playing it up for the camera. And anytime I see channels like that, I'm always just like, hell yeah, like we need more content creators like this that are not just milking, you know, these bands for views, and instead having cool things to say to help the scene like evolve and making the metal music rock space more positive, you know. And I also really like how you guys do a lot of pop stuff too on your channel. Shows that it's okay to listen to pop music and also these like really heavy metal breakdown music too.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like, super appreciate that. And I think it's definitely one thing that we've always been conscious of is just being ourselves. And if being ourselves means that, you know, some people find us annoying, so be it. If being ourselves means that we're going to react to pop punk or, you know, some things like, you know, left of field stuff like Joey Valance and Bray and, you know, Grandson and things like that, then we're going to do it, because I feel like you get a much better feel for someone's personality and an insight into what music does for them and how they resonate with music and what clicks with them if you see them sort of check out the whole scope of what they're doing. And I know that that can't really always be a thing in the reaction world, because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, let's be real, man, views are currency. You know, it's, you know, subscriptions and stuff is currency. That's how we survive. That's how we get going. And yeah, it's just always been important to us to show people that we are the people who we are for multiple reasons, not just breakdowns, which we fucking love.
The breakdown with Nathan Johnny. But yeah, like
Exactly.
when it comes to like the social media stuff, I think it's obviously fun to show like the underground bands and all these things, but it does like take what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word, but right now, but like views are so important that sometimes we get so swamped, like I do at least, get really swamped up with all the numbers, and then, okay, what can I do differently? Do you feel a lot of pressure too as a reactor in terms of views or bands that you want to feature, and how do you balance it all?
I don't think we feel pressure anymore. I think that, like, when we first started this, we didn't really know what we were doing. Nath had never even heard of reaction videos. You know, like, we only started it because of COVID. And, you know, Nath is my gig buddy. We had a music chat where we sit there and just text each other about music all day with another friend of ours. And I couldn't play any shows and or go to shows, and he couldn't go to any shows. And we were just like, you know what, let's give this reaction videos a crack. And he's like, oh, what's this? And I'm just like, well, basically we just sit down in front of a camera and we talk about music. And he's like, I reckon we can do that. And Nath already having a huge social media presence, you know, he had all the gear, like he had cameras and lights and things like that. So that was kind of easy. And I think early on, when we started to grow, when we started to notice growth, there was a pressure to continue growing. And I think that's why we checked out a lot more sort of stuff that we don't really do as much of anymore. You know, things like Miley Cyrus and Lady Gaga and BTS and stuff like that, because we saw that people who were reacting to these things had monumental views. We had no idea about all the whole, like, your videos are going to get blocked, you can't make money off them, like all that sort of stuff. And their fans can be the nicest, but they can also be the worst. So we had no idea about all that shit. And we kind of just found our way. And now we don't really feel the pressure, because we know that we're a channel that we don't do things the same as other reaction channels. You know, like, we don't focus heavily on things like TikTok and Reels, which is probably why we don't grow as fast. And we just do what we do, man. We like checking out the bands that we like checking out. We love our pop punk as well. And there's not really a whole lot of people doing pop punk reactions. And, you know, being guys that live on the beach, you know, just outside of Sydney in Australia, pop punk and punk music is a huge part of our culture here. It's, you know, summer vibes, man. So I think the pressure now comes more from ourselves to make sure that we are still creating things that people want to watch. You know? And that's basically, that's where we sit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I love the chill kind of mindset. I think mine's a little bit different, to be honest. I am pushing hard on Reels and TikToks, and I'm trying to figure out where the audience is going to. Like, I feel like a lot of longer form content is not doing as well, where short form content's so quick and easy. So I've been kind of like, sure, there's pressure on myself, but also trying to figure out what where the direction is going. Like, one of the things that I really don't like, and it's the hot topic in a lot of reaction channels, I don't think yours, but with me and others, is like titles and videos going like biggest breakdown of 2023 and all that stuff. And like, I don't want to do it. I wish I could just do like, this band, or even title the video saying like episode 300 or something, and you just watch. But I do feel like those titles really encourage people to click. And I really respect it when someone like you, or even like someone like Galactic Criminal, just does the band reaction. And I love it, but I'm so, if I were to go back to that, I know the views won't be as well for me, whether or not it's clickbait or not. But I don't know. How do you feel about it? Because I know that you guys are very more standard with your titles.
Yeah, that was something that, I think just we wanted to be, we wanted people to come to the channel because they'd found us and they enjoyed what we do. They'd enjoyed the dynamic. I think like we already, like you said, the two of us, we already offer something different because there's that 2-person dynamic. Now that comes with plenty of hurdles. It really does, having the two of us. Especially
I'm well aware.
Like, yeah, dude, like especially when Nath is overseas for 2 weeks or I'm out for a week or something like that, it makes it real hard, especially because, as you know, timing is key with reactions. Getting on those songs quick is something that we find very hard. But we always made it a conscious decision to not be a clickbait channel, not because we've got anything against it, but because we want to be the breakdown with Nath and Johnny. We don't want to be anybody else. And that's just something that we've sort of stuck to our guns on. I mean, look, I tried it recently. Nath was away, so when the cat's away, I might play. I did it on the Megan Thee Stallion and Spirit Box one.
Oh, yeah,
I put up a little.
Yeah.
I hate it on the thing, and I was just like, wow. There was actually people in the comments going, "Can't believe these metal elitists hating it. Like Megan Thee loves metal. Why? Like
they call you a metal elitist? Like, really? Come on.
Yeah." I'm like, dude, did you watch the video? The I hate it is literally a grab from I hate metal elitists, being so up their own asses about things like this, and the collab with Bring Me and Ed Sheeran and stuff, because but we also, the other thing we made a conscious decision was not to be the over the top, whoa, reactors. And it's one thing I love about you is you have your style of doing it, and you have the way that you do it, and you don't need to be over the top. You just get to be real, and you get to be you, and you get to show that real sort of transparent, this is how the song's making me feel. Because it's like, there's so many hype channels out there, dude. If a song's not making me go, wow, then I'm not going to go, wow, because it's just disingenuous, you know? And that's not Nath's personality. That's not his personality. It's more mine, because I'm a bit of a caricature as a person. But dude, I'm like that in person as well. I'm a goose. I'm an idiot.
You're a goose.
Yeah.
Yeah, long neck. Well, dude, it's funny that you said that too. Like, I feel like the way that I react is like the way I listen to music live. Like, if I know that there's people watching me and stuff, so I feel like, or like, I will be moving, like if I'm at a live show. But if the song's really not hitting me, I'm not going to fake it. And I think a good example recently was like my North Lane reaction. The song, I saw that you did a video for it, so I can talk about it too. But Dante, great song, but for some reason it didn't really make me go jump up or not saying I jump up anyway, but it didn't make me move around too much, but I still enjoyed it. I knew the song was a grower, and I end up liking the song more later on too. So no, I just totally agree.
I feel like there's an expectation with reaction videos as well. It's such a weird world, man, because I'd never been this deep in the internet. Like, I'm a pretty private guy, you know. Even now with socials, I tried it. I tried being super active, and, you know, I don't post a whole lot, and I don't feel comfortable with the talking to the camera, holding the phone thing. So yeah, it's just, the internet was a weird world for me as is, man. And
it's still weird.
Yeah, bro. And that expectation that people seem to have of like, like, we've had comments before, man, wow, a reaction channel and they don't react. I'm just like, fuck, sorry, bro. Next time I'll take my pants off and dance on the table.
Yeah. You should totally reply like that too. Just be a dick back.
No, dude, I have a reply that I use to people, and I got it from the boys in Wind Waker, and I've used it ever since we were hanging out with them. And he's just like, dude, my reply to people every time they comment something negative is, why don't you cry about it? So now I have different ways of saying, have you tried crying about it? Or, oh, I've got a book for you, 101 Ways to Cry About It. You know, so.
That's pretty good. I love just saying, go touch grass, go touch outside, or go outside or something.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple one. But yeah, dude,
Absolutely.
What is what is some of your proudest achievements so far being a YouTube channel?
Heaps of them, man. Like, I'm super proud of the channel in general. I don't think that I ever expected it to get like this. We were literally just doing this for some fun, you know what I mean? Like, just to give something a go. Now, obviously, having someone, you know, in the channel like Nath, who is quite, you know, an entrepreneur and business minded and savvy, and can see, he's got a much better eye for me of seeing value in something, and like, this could be something, so I'm going to put time and money into it because this is going to be worth it. But I think, like, proudest moments was definitely that, you know, that Full Tilt festival, having a touring company put the trust in us the first time we'd ever done that, and take us to a festival to do press there was really, really cool. And I was just like, oh wow, like, it's hard to see value in yourself when you just think you're just a guy talking about music. But, you know, and then when we had like Janine, our lovely PR girl that helps us get all this cool shit, basically took us under her wing from that moment. Yeah, just stuff like that is really cool. And you know, we're about to do the entire Good Things Festival. We're about to do the whole tour. And traveling as part of that tour, just for talking about music, is fucking wild. And
who's on that bill?
Know, Limp Bizkit, Fall Out Boy, Bullet for My Valentine, Corey Taylor.
Oh,
yeah, dude, it's yeah, Slaughter to Prevail, like
big names, names,
dude. Yeah, and you know, even like just the chance to go and hang with bands that we've made like good relationships and we've become good friends with, like the guys in Ocean Sleeper and Bloom and Slowly and stuff like that is fucking cool. And it's cool. I think that's my proudest moment. That's my proudest thing about the channel, is that we go to these things now and you get your little lanyard and you're backstage and you're hanging out. It's just like, oh, there's fucking the guys from Bring Me and there's Chino from Deftones, and to get to a point where you feel worthy and you don't have imposter syndrome is really nice. To have the artists coming up to you and hanging out with you and saying, it's really nice to see you again, man, like, let's have a drink or whatever, is really cool. Because the first few times we did that, I just felt like I was fucking so far out of my depth, man. Like, you know, especially when you're around guys that I'd literally grown up listening to. And it's just like, what do I do? Like, how do I act? Damn cooler.
It's true though. Like I agree that I think that is like one of my proudest achievements too, is just like the fact that you can actually be on like not really getting starstruck by these people, but just enjoying their company and be able to have good discussions. It's such a cool thing that happened to me gradually too, because like with you said like it just was like a kind of fun hobby. I think most reactors did it like that. Like for me, I had some time to kill. I was doing like a 9-to-5 job and I had so much spare time. So I'm like, you know what? I see this guy Truant. Why don't I want to do reactions like him? And it just became a weird hobby that, you know, I didn't make any money from it until like, I think the second year, but even then was like very little money. I'm like, oh wow, there's actually ways that you can like make money from this channel. This is cool. And then the hobby could turn into a career. And I'm like, it's crazy what things you can achieve if you kind of just, you know, put your best foot forward. You don't know, like, unless you try. And so I just tried it just like you. And look, now we're able to talk to some of our favorite bands. And man, to be honest, you talk to a lot of cool bands. The one that really blew my mind was Jared Leto. But if you talk to Dustin Kensrue, oh my God, dude, I would be. That is one man that I would love to talk to.
They were out here recently, and I was so heartbroken that they weren't doing any press, like they weren't doing any of that sort of stuff. I think because it was such a monumental tour, and they were doing like a ridiculously long set every night, like playing Artist in the Ambulance in full, and then like another 10 songs after that. Like, who are you guys? The fucking Foo Fighters? Like,
so you saw the show, like, right?
I saw them. Yeah, I was there going, all I want to do is just touch him. That's all I want to do, just reach out and just touch him. But yeah, so look, I've got optimism. We've got some contacts with Epitaph. So one of the reasons it was hard to do it with the last album was because our contact at Epitaph wasn't doing that album or tour because it was a re-release, so it wasn't actually on Epitaph. So
I know, yeah.
And I think that's another thing that like is that's weird about this world when you start getting into the interviews and stuff is the logistics and politics and all that sort of stuff. And man, all you got to do is just throw that line out there and hope you get some bites and see what happens. But yeah, I'm optimistic that I'll get Dustin one day. I have to, man. I have to.
Yeah, you'll probably do it sooner than I can. I plan on it too. I've tried talking to Epitaph about it too. The one thing about like Dustin is that as much as I admire and respect him, I do feel like it would be an interesting conversation to have. Maybe my attitude usually with most people is like a little bit like more bro humor or something, but Dustin's very like humble and mature, so I'll have to come up with some good like thought-provoking questions for a good mature conversation. But who knows, maybe he can like let loose. I have no idea, but I doubt, knowing Dustin's style.
I've definitely seen a growth in that from him, and I think when they came back after the hiatus, and even more recently, I think that was a big thing that they sort of were like, well, if we want to, stay relevant, we've got to do a lot more of this sort of content creating stuff and be a little bit more sort of there, in the public eye. It's not really enough to just be a good band anymore, which is a shame. It's just like, it's not really good enough to be a good reactor anymore. You have to give the people a little bit more of yourself, which is definitely something I struggle with, like just personally. I find that hard. How do you go with all that sort of stuff, giving yourself to the people?
Like, are you asking me like how I do it? Or just like...
Yeah, how do you go with it? Yeah, how do you
I know.
deal with that?
Well, it's funny because like I did have the dynamic of two people, right? And that then I had to go solo, and I always knew it was not going to last. So I just, it became a solo thing. And giving the people what they want, it was not easy. Like I was trying to figure out, like I had like imposter syndrome for a little bit. Like I did a lot of jokes. I did all my intros were like almost like skits at the beginning for a while when I went solo. And then I think I started doing like long intros where I was going, "Woo, what's up?" to the camera and stuff. I was doing that for a while. Yeah. And then even then I'm just like, this doesn't feel like me. Even my tagline, I had an old tagline like, let's fucking do it. I'm like, this isn't me anymore. So I think how I gave people what they want was through live streams. I think doing the live streams and going on Twitch, having the chat participation and being able to just talk to the chat, like they see more human side to me. We've had times where we've like got really sad on live streams. I feel like the community really knows me, and because of it, I really became much more myself on camera, and that's why majority of my videos now are live. I really feel like the crowd makes me feel actually more myself. Now, I don't know if it's going to be like that for everybody, but this is just how I work to give the people more of my personality. And I realize the way that I talk and the way that I am is a little bit, I don't know, kind of goofy. Sometimes I'm able to talk about music really well, but sometimes I say stupid words and then they just laugh too. Like, I don't know. And then it just makes me feel more myself when I don't feel judgment, you know?
Yeah, I get that for sure, because I definitely find that, you know, when we're approached in public, or shows is where it usually happens, and people come up and they're like, hey, can we get a photo? Or, you know, they want to talk about the channel or music. I'm much more like natural, because I feel like in person is just, it's just so much more real, you know what I mean? And it's easy to have a conversation with someone, and it's easy to vibe with someone and bounce off someone. I think that's why I struggle with the whole, even like the last couple of weeks, reacting alone without Nath. You know, the response and the support from people has been great. Everyone's been like, you're doing great, but is it ironic? You're doing, hang in there, son. But that's been a learning curve for sure. And also, I just feel like, I feel like you're right. I feel like when you have someone to bounce off, and when you can have, when it's more like a conversation and like not just it's a show about me, it's so much easier to not get in your head as well.
Yep. Yeah, dude.
I'm horrible for getting in my head.
Man, it's a whole learning curve. Like, social media is exhausting, and I totally relate to you about the whole privacy thing. My name is METALBIRB. I don't even think you know my real name still. Like, it's still kind of mysterious. Yeah, right?
You know what?
You don't.
Yeah, I just call you Burb.
Yeah, people just call me Burb, but it's for privacy reasons. It's an avatar, and I didn't. It's funny. The first thing that you search up on Google for METALBIRB is METALBIRB's real name. People are trying to figure it out. So So
is it up there?
No, you can't find it. And there's some people that definitely know in my community, but most of the reactors that I talk to know it. So I'll reveal after the podcast. Yeah. But what I was going to say too is I didn't post anything on my personal Instagram since 2017, right? So I stopped using social media, but my background was in marketing. I was helping build these companies and their social media presence and all these other things. So I had a knack for it. And then I just became kind of like constantly getting better at it. Social media and being in front of the camera is a skill. It's a big learning curve. And like when you have the other person, oh yeah, you can bounce off each other a lot. It just seems like you're hanging out with a buddy. But then when you're by yourself with the camera, it's totally different environment. It's so weird. The way that you act is so much more different. And I really respect the fact, oh shit. Hold up. Sorry, there's we only have 10 more minutes on Zoom. Because we're doing Zoom call, yeah.
It's like a 40-minute limit or something.
Yeah. So that's why I don't do Zoom. I guess I have to upgrade my package. I usually do Discord, right? So we'll have to figure it out. But
you just stop it and start a new one, Dave.
What's that?
You can just stop it and start a new one, I think.
Yeah, okay, well, we can do that. But to stay on track, I kind of forget what I was saying, but social media and, being in front of the camera, like I really respect the fact of you doing it on your own and just going with it. Just keep doing it, dude. It becomes a lot easier. And it's fun. It's fun to check out music on your own. And then sometimes like, it it's cool to see how much you grow too. That's another thing I've noticed. Like I watch my old videos and even my voice is different. I used to talk in a higher pitch. My voice is a little bit lower. It's weird how you can, yeah. And I don't know how it happened, but it was just natural. But there's just cool things like that you notice when you're, I guess you could still do it with the 2-person dynamic, but I don't know. The whole point of this is just keep up the solo reactions when you need to. I definitely respect that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And look, I've mentioned I think I've mentioned to you before, I've definitely mentioned it to Orion that, I do at some point want to try Twitch. I want to try doing my own Twitch streaming. If not just for the fact that, like we were saying, it's hard with 2 people, man. You got to both be available. We shoot like 1 day a week. We've got, this is the little studio here inside. Soundproofing and stuff.
Wow, look at all that soundproofing. Damn. It's way smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Nice.
We've got a rack of clothing, man. So we'll come in and we'll set aside a couple of hours and we'll do a couple of hours of reactions and just change our outfits. So it'll be funny because there'll be some times where one of us will go to the barber or something like that, and there'll be like a priority reaction will drop, so it gets pushed ahead of the other ones, and it's like beard, no beard, beard. Yeah. It's just people pick up on that shit too.
I know it all way too well. I would actually change my shirts because same thing. When I had the 2-person dynamic, I would have like a couple different like wardrobes, so it just seemed like they were different days, but we were actually all filming like I think one time I sat and filmed like 11 videos, and after that we were just like exhausted.
It fucking takes it out of you, man. It's hard, and that's one of my negatives about reactions is that it kind of it becomes like it feels like work. So I've got a 9 to 5 still, and we shoot on Monday afternoons. So I'll finish work and I'll be like, I'm going home to have a shower, get changed, head to the studio. I'll be like, oh fuck, I've got to sit down and watch like 2.5 hours of music. Like Jesus Christ, and it does feel like a chore sometimes. It's not easy doing this.
It's such a weird thing to complain about because obviously it's not like we're oil rig workers or something that takes a lot of physical work, but it is just like, it's just mentally draining and it is energy consuming. Like even yesterday I did a 3-hour live stream, right, which is usually my normal duration. Yeah, so you're after like the second hour mark, my energy is definitely pretty low, but then afterwards I'm like, okay, it's like 5 o'clock, and then the rest of the evening I'm like, maybe I should film an album reaction for what I have to do on Patreon. And then I realized I don't have any energy. Like I can't listen to more music. Like I know that it'd probably be a little bit more negative reaction because my mood is just like, more breakdowns.
That definitely happens.
Yep.
Yeah, that definitely happens. Do you struggle pushing through that sometimes, or do you feel like you should push through it when it gets to that point? Or do you just like, nah, this is where I need to cut off for me, for my sanity, for my, energy levels, for my mental health?
Yeah, well, I can't do that with live streams, and it's just because they're donating, so I have to go through all the donations. But when it comes to Patreon, sometimes I check out albums that are just within the first 2 songs. I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to like this for like 9 more tracks that we have to go through. So, but I still have to push through it. Like I need to, I just need to, I can't just stop and then film it later because I won't be in the same mindset. So how I do breaks is what I like to do now is film all my reactions on live streams. So I live stream on Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday is where viewer requests. I call it Battle of the Bangers, but people send in their requests and I record the whole thing just in case like I capture a really good song. I'm like, okay, this would be good YouTube content. And then Friday is Friday Bangers, where we just check out all the new releases. So I filmed a bunch of YouTube videos live, and that way I have just a bunch of footage ready. So that way I'm not filming every single day, so I don't get that burnout. But I will say the streams are very energy draining, but I don't stop. I've done it like 8 hours once at the beginning. I did like an 8-hour, 9-hour like marathon. Like, Yeah. I know. And I don't know how I did that, but I did. The thing is, like, the difference between this kind of streaming and then like a video game streamer is like you're playing video games. Like you're just chilling playing video games. So you might have the odd commentary.
Yeah.
But with music reactions, you're on. You have to listen to the music. You have to be able to dissect it because people are donating you money. I can't be just slacking off and not listening to the music. I got to make sure I properly listen to it and also interact with the chat, keep the chat engaged. That's where it becomes a lot more energy draining. It's not just me going like dozing off, you know. I have to really pay attention.
I need to definitely rethink this Twitch thing, man, because my ADHD as fuck brain will just not allow me to sit there for 8 hours.
Oh, dude, I know. I reacted to a Tool album, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's going to be like 70, 80 minutes of just like random time signatures and the same kind of riffage. So you know what I did to help my ADD brain is I picked up the guitar and was following along with guitar tabs. And it made me appreciate, it made me appreciate the album so much more. I'm like, oh, now I'm actually kind of trying to learn the songs while playing. I'm like, that was a great idea to help overcome the 80-minute time length for that. But yeah.
For sure.
Other people will probably be like, dude, it's just a Tool album. It's amazing. Like, I can't believe like you would have any problems with it or something. But it is just because being in front of the camera, really focusing, trying to provide good content, that's where it becomes energy draining. It's not me just like on the couch listening to the music and just having a more chill time with it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But Tool is a hard slog to get through, man, if you're not in the mood.
Yeah. And
I love the band, but
I was pleasantly surprised by the record, man. I was like, okay, this is really good. It's the one with the that weird equation. I forget what it is.
Oh, the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah. Finn McKenty made
it's fucking brilliant, though.
It is. Finn McKenty made a funny post of like a glue stick, and it's like spilling out a little bit, and then at the tip. And then it says Tool fans when they talk about this sequence.
Oh, man. That dude cracks me up. He's such an asshole.
He's such a prick. I know. I do really like him too, even though there's times where I completely disagree with his opinions. But that's the thing. That's what it's all about. Like, I don't expect people to always agree with my opinions. I just kind of say it how I feel. And I love learning other people's perspectives on things. There's times where like maybe a band like I don't really care for, and I watch someone else's reaction who praised the album, but gives me a new perspective on why they think it's good through these like certain like chord progressions that they're a little bit more analytical. I'm like, oh, okay. And it makes me like the band more.
Yeah, I get that for sure. We have a lot of that as well, given the fact that Nath and I both come from two different approaches to how we take in music and stuff. You know, I obviously come from more the musicality and writing and structure side of things, being a musician, and he comes from more the fan, you know, style of things, and you know, obviously with videos coming from the social media world where he does a lot of video editing and stuff like that. Totally, I think he that stuff as well. So yeah, man, it's all interesting, but
going to have to end the chat and then come back in. So 1 second.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, bro.
All right, we're good.
We're back. Welcome back. Woo.
Yeah, dude. This is why I don't do Zoom. I guess I'm too cheap to do the subscriptions. But support me on Patreon though. It's only $5 a month.
Hell yeah.
You guys don't have a Patreon, do you?
We do. Oh. We just started one recently.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we have like that, the $5 a month thing where you can just sort of help us out. And then we have another tier where we're putting up, you know, additional content where we do our own sort of reviews for the week, like, you know, 5 songs for the week or, you know, weekly playlist sort of thing. However, it's been kind of hard lately. Everyone's just like, we've just both had a lot of shit going on, man. So we're going to get through Good Things Festival and Christmas, and then we're going to revisit our Patreon and really sort of knuckle down with getting a lot of cool stuff on there and a lot of different stuff on there. You know, so yeah, it's just You know what it's like, man. Time sensitive. I still work a 9 to 5. I've got 2 kids and a partner, and it's just it's hard finding time for all this sort of stuff when it's not your main bread and butter.
What is your main bread and butter? Can you elaborate, or is it private?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm an electrician by trade.
Oh,
so yeah. But a couple of years ago, I got myself off the tools, and I'm an office boy now. So I do customer consultations and layouts. So basically, I sit with the clients, and we discuss their new home and where they'd like their power points and switches and lights and how much Ethernet they'll need and security systems and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so that's basically what I do.
Nice. I used to do marketing for I guess like a celebrity, but like he had a electrical company, and so I would like put up blogs, some social media posts and stuff for them, try to do some video editing for them too, and put on their YouTube channel. But yeah, so yeah, I know some things about the electrical world.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. You got a few electrical puns,
I do, and also like my whole setup with all my like plugins and everything is quite the electrical. Actually, it's probably the opposite of what's good electrical. Like I feel like it's going to blow up at any moment.
It's just cables everywhere, just crossing over each other, wrapped around. And
yeah. Oh, if you could see underneath this table, it just looks like a spider's nest. It's brutal.
Love it. But I don't care, man. I don't care.
Yeah, well, here let's give some people some spicy conversations when it comes to reactions, because we were talking about fan bases.
Oh, shit.
Have you ever? I think from what I've seen, but please correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are pretty like neutral. You will respectfully not like something when you put it out there, but I don't really hear you guys say something really off-putting. But has there ever been a song where you just like hated it? You still put the video out and you got the fan base just totally after you? If so, what was it?
Yeah, and it was probably the worst one to do it to. It was, oh God, I don't want to get them mixed up because then I sound like a dick, but they're all kind of the same to me. Like the music's just all the same. It was Doja Cat.
Oh.
So we did a Doja Cat song, and I was just like, I was honest, man. And I just said, you know what? I don't get it. It's got nothing for me musically. I'm a musician. I grew up listening to guitar-driven music. I taught myself how to play guitar, bass, drums, sing. There's nothing here for me. I said also, one of the things I love about music is I love to drive along in the car and listen to it with the kids, or go to a concert and bring the kids along now that they're old enough. And I'm like, I can't listen to this shit with my little girl in the car because I don't want her to listen to that sort of stuff. So I don't connect with those lyrics at all, that overtly sexual, really sort of like X-rated lyrics. I don't connect with that at all. And I was honest about that. I said, there's nothing here for me. I can't think of any time in my life where I would put this on and enjoy this at all. And boy, did the Doja kittens come for me. Boy, did they come for me. And you know what, dude? It was early days as well. It was when we were still doing reactions on Nath's channel. So it was only like the first 6 months or whatever. And me being new to this world, I bit back in the comments and was just all, go fuck yourself, like,
yeah,
shut your fucking mouth. And it did not go down well. But so I learned a big lesson then about, not in regards to music. I'll still be honest about the music. I've said on a few videos recently, nothing for me here. I don't really dig it. But like, I learned a lesson about dealing with people on the internet. But the thing that really pissed me off, and it's just, like I said, I was new to the world, man, and I didn't know how, forcefully and brutally people would just say the dumbest shit in the comments section just because they didn't like your reaction. But I wasn't going to stand there and get called racist for not liking a song.
Oh yeah. You got to fight back for that kind of shit.
Yeah, I'm just like, are you serious, motherfucker? Do you have any idea how many people of color are in the heavy music space and how many I love and adore? And not only that, but like, to say that someone would form an opinion on a song based on the color of someone's skin, to me, is just fucking ridiculous. And it's that sort of knee-jerk reaction and baiting people that I think is the worst shit about the internet, man. Like, it's just, grow up, get a fucking life.
Yeah, I know. I've mentioned many times, like, I don't understand the mind behind some of these people to just like flat out insult and attack people online. Twitter is the worst for it, and I'm on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter, but I just don't understand how people don't really understand to just not be an asshole. Like, if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say it. You can respectfully say like, oh, I didn't appreciate this reaction and this is why, rather than saying you're a racist piece of shit, even though like you're putting words and taking things completely out of context. That's, yeah, you have to fight back for things like that. When I see negative comments, at least it's gone to a point, at least like my community will like argue back. But if they say something that is like totally I never said, or it's completely taken out of context, then I will have to rebuttal. And it comes very sparingly. I try not to engage with comments. Like, I think my YouTube audience is pretty good, but I'm pretty active on Instagram and TikTok too. And TikTok is, oof. People were like going off. I was talking about the Megan Thee Stallion thing and just being like pumped that it's a cool thing for the metal scene, and someone's like, "Oh, it's been happening. It's been happening forever." Like with Jay-Z and Linkin Park. And if you watch my full
YouTube, fucking know that.
Yeah, if you watch my full YouTube video, like I talk about those examples, but I'm just like, "Oh, this is such a big thing for metal." And then someone said, like, "Yeah, it is a big thing for metal," and replied back to him. So I heard that comment saying, like, "Thank you, it is a big thing for metal." And then the guy replied back, "Well, too bad METALBIRB's a fucking idiot." And I'm just like, dude, what the. People are just like on TikTok too, like they're just like I don't know, the short attention spans, so they won't watch a full YouTube video, get the full context and all these things. But you know what I love about having these podcasts with other reactors? Finally get to vent.
Oh, dude. And look,
it's like therapy.
I'm the same, man. It is because there's a few things that bug me about the reaction world, but for the most part it's fucking sick. I genuinely enjoy it, and it's not something that I ever thought I would enjoy this much or would get to this point, you know, as we've spoken about. But you know, just the fact that people are so entitled is the one that gets me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like, number one, you should react to this when I'm ready for you to react to it. You haven't reacted to it and it's been out for a week. What the fuck are you doing? It's like, dude, like, is this your first time here? Have you not watched any of our videos where we've said, Nath runs like 3 companies. Like, I have a full-time job and children, you know, like, dude, we can't live in this fucking studio and do every song as soon as it comes out just so you get a reaction, which if you don't like, you're going to drop shitty comments and still not donate to the channel or buy merch or fucking subscribe to the Patreon. So, you know, put your money where your mouth is.
I know, right? And like, there's so many times where people like want me to check out certain songs and like keep spamming certain videos. Like, why don't you come on live streams? Show me the song. There's probably a good chance there's a reason why I didn't check out the song, because maybe I've heard other songs from this band and I don't think it's good enough to feature on my channel. Speaking of which, like, I've changed the way that I upload videos to my YouTube channel. Back in the day, it was like I uploaded everything. Even if I didn't like the song, I would still put the video out. I'd take the heat, but at least I'm being honest. Now, you know, we have relationships with labels, since labels not obvious, but they are seeing the value that we bring. Thank God, finally. Now I choose bands that I work with or songs that I really like on these live streams, because I love showing off the bands that I think are the coolest. Or if it's going to be like a big band, people want to know my opinions, I'll still put it out even if I don't really care for the song. So that's how, like, I'm much more selective about what I go put on my channel. So I'm wondering how your process is now. Like, what videos do you choose to go up? Is it a lot of like personal stuff or like for the fans?
It It's a bit of both. It's a bit of all of them, but it gets harder every week, man, because the further down the road you get and the more you have these relationships with labels and stuff like you were talking about, that are actually coming to the party and whitelisting the videos and hooking you up with early releases and, getting you into the shows to hang with the artists and stuff. You want to repay the favor. Because, we're doing, essentially reactions of the new music journalists in a massive way. Most people that we come in contact with, we get so many DMs and things, of people at shows taking a video of a band like Caskets or Imminence or Siamese or one of these bands going, I would have never heard of this band if it wasn't for you guys. And that's fucking cool. So you kind of want to repay everyone for helping the channel get to where it is, but at the same time, you want to do songs of bands that you love that people might not necessarily love, or I want to do Aussie bands that people might not have heard of that I like. And will that video maybe only get 1,000 views? Yeah, but that's 1,000 more people that a local band gets, watching them, who might then go and show them to a friend, and you get that snowball effect. And I think that there's part of me, from being in bands for so many years, there's part of me that thinks that that's still such an important part of being part of this community, but also helping the longevity of the community, not by just spreading the bands we all know and the bands that people want to watch, but saying, trust me, dude, check this band out, they're fucking sick, but basically we will refresh our YouTube and we'll see what videos are there, and we'll make a selection, and we'll load up, 10, 15, 20 videos, and we'll get through as many as we can, and we'll prioritize what ones we think are, we're going to enjoy more, or are going to perform better, or have been sent to us by, one of the labels we work with. And that's basically how we do it. We also try to kind of not have it in blocks of there's 4 metalcore songs and then 2 deathcore songs and then another 2 metalcore songs, and then there's a pop punk song. We try and stagger it a little bit so that, every day there could be something different for everyone. What about you? You just kind of do whatever now, or whatever you want?
Yeah, it's kind of whatever now. I totally understand what you guys are doing. Like I said, it's a lot more selective, but we were talking about these bands that you just want to push and say, trust me, this is good, check it out. I want to say one of the most gratifying things with our channels is helping these underground bands get so much exposure, and the snowball effect happens. It happened with this band called Breakaway, which you guys should check out, because I definitely think it would be up your alley, both you and Nath. Basically I checked it out on a live stream. It was Battle of the Bangers. Someone requested, sent me a donation to check out this song, so I did. And then after I checked it out, I'm like, this only has 78 views. It was uploaded for 2 weeks on YouTube and only had 78 views. And I'm just like, the quality is so good. And I kind of, during the reaction, I laughed because I'm like, oh, it's the female sleep token. Oh my God, this is,
I remember that
sleep token, but she doesn't sound like Vessel, but just the way that the music is composed, I'm like, this is literally a sleep token song. So I titled the video Sleep Token fans, record labels, here, listen to this. Band blew up. That video got 50,000 views from me, and then they got 70,000 views on their YouTube video. So then, let and behold, their second single came 6 months later. They hit me up, hey, we really thank you so much for everything you've done, here's another song. So I listened to it, and again, I'm the tagline works. So I'm oh, the female sleep token is back, even though this song sounds less sleep tokeny, but it worked as a headline. In total, I have bless you. In total, there's 1.3 million views that I got from all platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm just now the band is at 130,000 monthly listeners and stuff. I'm and they're a really cool band. I'm that to me is just, it's so cool with what we can do as these reaction channels. not just only doing the big bands to make the fan bases happy, like, oh, thank you for finally checking out the Parkway Drive song or something, but instead helping out these new upcoming bands that are like the future of music. Because I do feel like the more underground bands are more willing to take risk, you know, so I really feel like the more that we expose the more underground bands with what we think is good, we can
for sure
constantly evolve the music space. And I really think we have, like, what was it, like I've been doing this for 5 years, but I remember when I first started doing a lot of the reaction content, I remember complaining that the music wasn't heavy. It was all just very poppy metalcore. I'm like, what happened to the heaviness of metalcore, the rawness, right? We grew up with Every Time I Die and stuff like that, Dillinger Escape Plan. What happened to that music? And so I feel like, you know, my voice and a bunch of other people who are in the same vein were kind of talking about it. And now music is constantly evolved where it's getting heavier. It's getting more expansive now. Sleep Token's a big example of something, the genre getting more expansive. I really feel like our opinions and our words is constantly making the scene get more evolved. I know it sounds a little bit narcissistic, like, oh, look at what we've done. But like, honestly, I really feel like we've had a major role.
Yeah, I agree, because what it does when people are watching reactions, what it does is it allows them to hear, you know, not necessarily long form, but, you know, like our videos will go for 10, 15 minutes. A lot of that is just us talking shit and me trying to annoy Nath. But, you know, we'll talk about what we liked about these songs in some kind of great length. And I feel like when you have a personality as a reactor that people resonate with, and that's why a lot of them come back to the channel to hang out, not to watch us, to hang out. That's what we like to call it. And they like you as a person, so they appreciate your view. So they're going to listen to you talk about a band with a little bit more sort of length and depth, and sort of break the songs down, which I feel. And they can't respond, you know, unless you're on Twitch, they can't respond. When you're watching a reaction video on YouTube, you can't respond. So you can't say, nah, dude, you're wrong. You basically just have to sit there and listen to it and cop it or turn it off. So I feel like when people are put in that position where they just have to basically listen, they can digest a song a lot more, a lot better. And they might not love it, but they can have a little bit more appreciation for it, which also brings me to interviewing bands. And it's one of the things that I love doing the most is giving a conduit between artist and fan through us that's a little bit more personal. So when Parkway Drive drop a song that everyone rips on, or when North Lane drop a song that everyone rips on, or Thornhill, or any of those bands that have changed direction drastically, we can sit down and talk to these bands in great length and really pick their brains and build a relationship with them so they feel comfortable to be honest with us. And a fan can sort of sit there and go, oh, you know what? I still wish like Architects sounded on Hollow Crown, but I get it. I get it now. And I feel that might not necessarily change their opinion on listening to the music, but hopefully the optimist in me just thinks that maybe it might stop a few of those people from writing knee-jerk dickhole shit on the comment sections.
Yes, I love that. So with your interviews, you're trying to change the mindset of like fans to appreciate certain like directions that the bands are going, right?
Yeah. I think we're trying to remind people that they're human. You know, that there's a person behind here that has feelings. And yes, they might get to tour the world and stand on a stage, and it might be all fucking la-di-da from where you're sitting, but they're still people. They still have to put their blood, sweat, and tears into getting to that point. And it's the same as us, man. Like this shit doesn't come easy. We didn't get things like Good Things Festival and Not Fest from just going, hey, we've got a camera and a microphone, pick us. You know, it takes work. It takes time away for me, man. Like it takes time away from my kids. It takes time away from my partner. It takes time away from, like I get a real sense of guilt when I miss things. And one of the good things about having chats with bands, especially artists who are fathers, people like Rory from Dayseeker and whoever it might be, is getting to sort of bro out over how hard it is to be away from your kids, and that fine line between chasing your dreams and putting food on the table, but like the guilt that comes with missing things. And that's definitely something that I struggle with when we start going away to lots of shows and weekends away and things like that. It's I think, you know, back to the main point is you need to bring that humanity back, and you need to, like, I feel like part of our job is to remind people that everyone that you watch in your screen still has their own shit going on, and they're giving up a lot and they're sacrificing a lot. And for you to just sit there and watch a 3-minute song, a 3-minute video and go, you guys are fucking shit now, you're dead, like, this is crap, well, the end of this band, like, that's a really fucking shitty thing to do.
I absolutely 110% agree. I really like how this is like your, not really your mission, but it's something that you're doing subconsciously that you're trying to do with your channel, is like provide the humanity. Because I feel like what I'm trying to do with my channel, and it just kind of came natural, but basically I'm very anti-gatekeeping, anti-elitist with my, and I want to really spread that message across and through the music I feature on my channel and stuff. So like both different view or things that we have going on, but we're both trying to change the mindset of people to be, for me, it's okay to listen to other genres, and it's okay for the music to not be all screamy all the time and have like a jazz or a pop section. And you do too with the music that you feature, but also I really like this idea of like, with the interviews, don't judge the music so harshly. Like, try to understand their perspective. It's okay to not like it, but you don't have to be an asshole. And, you know, I think a really good example is basically the Architects with, them dealing with Tom and the passing of him, and just like, oh, it's not the same, you guys went downhill and all that stuff. Like, those comments are brutal. And I still get really bad comments too, personally, on like, I don't really get them as much anymore, thank God. But like the Metal Babe comments were really exhausting, and it was just like mentally draining. And so I can't imagine maybe I can't imagine a little bit what the bands feel like when they have to deal with all this negative stuff all the time.
Yeah, for sure, man. And yeah, like the Metal Babe stuff was so long ago now for you, but you know, coming through all of that and having, just people, I think that's one of the things I struggle with in terms of like the social media stuff, is people thinking that they deserve or are entitled to an insight into my private life. You know, like that's, while Nath is away, I asked my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, do you want to do a reaction with me just for fun? And she's like, yeah, nah, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to subject us to that. And I'm like, you know what, that's probably a good idea. Life is stressful enough. So we opted to go against that.
Good idea.
And she's a huge music fan, man. Like, she loves music as much as I do, you know. But it was probably for the best.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'm just like, coming in a video for fun, and then it became a thing, and it never was meant to be a thing. But I think during the whole breakup, it was like one of the lowest points of my life, because I was going through a pretty bad breakup, and then also like being in front of the camera and trying to just be cool with it, and seeing all the comments, and, you know, not making it publicly announced because I didn't want people to really dig deep into my private life, because I'm a private person. So I really just kept it under wraps, and I just kept my pushing through, and it was really tough. But finally this year, I made some severe changes to my channel, and my channel is taking off. Like, this is the best year I've done in numbers, and I'm so happy. And like, one of my favorite or happiest things is when you type in METALBIRB on Google search, Metal Babe doesn't show up anymore, or girlfriend. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, we did it.
Victory. Finally. Yeah. So honestly,
I don't know how you like were able to keep doing it every day, going through that when she was a part of like the channel. Because man, I went through a breakup like right at the start of the year as well. And it was, months and months coming for me. And the first 3 to 6 months of the year were just super difficult. Like for the first 3 months of this year, I was almost certain that I was going to quit the channel and not come back, because I'd had a huge breakup, had to sell my house, I'd changed jobs, and I was just like, I don't fucking need this. Like, this is just another thing on my plate that doesn't put money in my pocket, really, and just takes time away from me sorting out my own shit and sorting out my head and sorting out my life. So, but at the same time, it was an escape from everything as well. It was a chance to sit down with one of my best mates, hang out, watch music, go to gigs, meet some of my favorite fucking artists in the world, and kind of remove myself from it and just let the process take its toll. But I am 100% glad that I haven't had to go through any type of public split, because that
I can't even explain the layers behind it, because people don't know, right? And so I just it's so hard to explain. It's a very complex situation. But I remember you talking about the breakup with me too on Instagram, and I guess for me, I was live streaming actually, and someone donated like $200. Like, it was a super generous donation. I'm like, whoa. And then I got really sad, and I just broke down. It was like the first time my chat ever saw me break down, is because I couldn't keep up the front, because the same thing as you, where I'm when I'm in it and just listening to music and making content, I'm in the zone. It's fine. But then when seeing that donation, it's just wow, people really value what I do, and it made me super emotional. And then I think the guy, after I broke down a little bit, he gave me another $200. I'm just for fuck's sakes.
Jeez,
yeah, I know. And then but I kind of mentioned to some of my audience there's been a breakup, and I don't want to talk about it, but yeah. And then so there is a good portion of my community that knew for a while, but I didn't reveal it till almost a year and a half later, a long time.
Yeah,
it's old news now.
You got to take that. That's in the past, man.
It's so old news. It's crazy.
But you got to take that time, man, to do things on your own timeline and make it right for you as well. Because, but at the same time, we're trying to give the people the best versions of us. And, I know what sort of personality I am. And I think that, the channel was actually really good for me, because it kept that personality alive. And, maybe that's why I struggle a little bit with social media now, is because now I have literally the best partner in the world, the most incredible woman I've ever met in my life. Best friend, soulmate, all that sort of lovey-dovey soppy shit. And, it's fucking fantastic. But, for a long time and not to say a bad word about my ex-partner, but our personalities were so different that it kind of, it just crushed all that stuff that made me me and made me stop being me. So the channel was really the only place I could come to be that immature, fucking silly, say whatever he thinks person. And, so I think that's the main reason why I stuck through the hard times, because I was like, number one, I owe a lot to Nath as well. The channel wouldn't be here without either of us. But also I owed it to the channel and the people for giving me an outlet to act as my kind of therapy in a way, to be me and to sit here and just make dick and fart jokes and try and make Nathan awkward and uncomfortable. So yeah, and everything's great now, man. So just everything's great now. But the one thing is I feel like we find it hard. Well, I find it hard to see the value that we bring to other people in that respect. Do you find that as well? Is that something that you're dealing with better now? Realizing, I do give people something to grab onto, somewhere, a place where they can vent, a place where they can feel like they're with a friend.
Yeah, it's really tough sometimes. I don't know. It's weird when you don't get validated and you don't want to seek that validation, but then when you get DMs, after I mentioned the breakup, I was getting DMs oh, I was going through a divorce, I can't believe that happened to you. like, thank you so much for, helping me through my divorce. And I can only imagine what you were going through. Like I was getting messages like that. And so it was just, I don't know. It was really, really supportive to get messages like that. Or even when you see people in person and they're just like, I love watching your videos. Like, me and my wife watch a lot of your videos and stuff. And people say like, I helped them through, like, I think I had a few comments saying like, I was sick in the hospital and your stuff kept my mind off crap. I'm just like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it is really cool because like you just kind of put videos out because you just want to talk about music and you don't really know the exact value that you're bringing sometimes. So when you hear messages like that, I love it. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's so great. We've had, so many of those. We had recently, I think it was the Stand Atlantic show in our local city. We went along to that and had a woman come up who watches our channel and comments on our things, and I didn't even realize was from our town, sort of thing, and just say, hey, it's me from, I comment on the stuff, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. And she was just sort of like, thank you so much. Like, it's been a horrible year. Like, my husband is horribly ill. I won't go into details, and it's been a really stressful year. And you guys give me somewhere that I can sort of just chill with friends and watch music and enjoy music and take my mind off all the hard stuff that I go through. And you just want to give them a big hug and just tell them that you appreciate them as well. So it's a weird world when that sort of shit comes into it.
Yeah, it is. It's very weird because like you're just doing stuff online, so you don't really see the effect other than some YouTube comments or just comments online. And then it's until you see those people in person, just like, whoa, putting a face to like the YouTube comment, like, oh, this is what some of the people that follow me look like and stuff. And it's just like, then you kind of grasp it a lot more. But, I feel like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is just like how we deal with all this and how do we manage our emotions. So how do you deal with burnout?
I live burnt out.
You live burnt out, yeah?
I live burnt out. And it's just always something. And I think it's all about finding those moments. Life is always going to be busy. I've come to accept the fact that with a full-time 9 to 5, with 2 kids, with a partner, with a channel, a soccer team, all this other shit, going to gigs, all this other stuff, I'm going to always live burnt out. So it's always about appreciating those moments. And, whether it's just sort of, I've got half an hour to myself, no one's home, I'm going to put Fortnite on and I'm going to sit there and I'm just going to play some Fortnite, or, for instance, my partner's actually been moving in this weekend, so happy days.
Big news.
Yeah. Taking the next step. And we've been working and doing channel stuff, and there's been weddings and birthdays and all this sort of shit, and we're trying to get all this stuff done. And then it's just get 10 minutes. It's like, let's go sit out on the deck, have a glass of wine, and just sit there and just soak in a quiet moment. You know what I mean? And it's all about having those moments where you don't need to be like, oh, I really need to get fucking 10 hours sleep in the next couple of nights or I'm going to be screwed. Like, yes, you need sleep, but I think it's all about having those moments for me where I can sit back and just have even 5 minutes to myself to just remove myself from everything and appreciate the fact that I am so busy. Because if you weren't busy, then what are you really living for? What have you got going on? If you're not busy, what are you doing all this for? Like,
I can't be not doing anything. I get so bored when I don't know. I'm totally different than how I was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I just wanted to just play video games and just do nothing. And then now I'm like, it's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, okay, finally I have some me time, just chill out. I'll watch a show or maybe play a little bit of video games or something. But even then I'm just like, I feel like I'm wasting my time a little bit. Like, it's not, I know how to manage burnout it took me a long time, and it's not perfect. There's times where it gets really bad, but like, I guess what the point is, like, yeah, always stay busy. Something I do. I always go to the gym. The gym is just like a good, healthy mind reset for me, but I've been doing some jiu-jitsu as well. I think one thing that is really tough about YouTube full-time or being a content creator full-time is being isolated. You are by yourself all the time. Like even like in the office, maybe you don't even like your coworkers if you're at your job, but at least you still have that social aspect. That water cooler talk that you think is BS is actually good for you. So I'm always behind the computer, and then I'm looking at comments. And when people say like a negative thing, even though it's generally positive, but the one negative thing can really get to you, and you get inside your head, and the numbers get in your head. It's mentally exhausting. So I actually force myself to learn jiu-jitsu because I want to learn a combat sport, but also like just hang out with other guys because like I can't be hanging out with my friends every day of the week, right? So I need to do things that get me out of the house and not get me online. So I think that's cool about the electrical job. At least like it's a lot on your plate, but like I said, if you were to do this full time, one of the cons that I feel like people don't talk about a lot is that it can be a very isolating gig.
For sure, and I guess that's where Nathan and I are lucky that we've got each other, and it's pardon me again. It gives us a chance to just hang out, and it always feels like we're just hanging out. Even if, like I was saying before, those days where I'm like, oh, I've got to shoot for 2 or 3 hours tonight. Like, what the fuck? As soon as I get here, and we're just chatting and catching up on our day and enjoying the music together. And even, when we're getting changed and, sorting the lighting out for the next video, like between then, just the general life chit chat we're so lucky to have that, I think. But it comes with its hurdles, man. Like we can't always be together. We have to, a big song will drop and one of us won't be able to get out to shoot a video. So, I feel like the channel kind of suffers in that sense because we're a little bit late to get to some videos, and maybe that would help our growth if we're a little bit, or maybe we just need to double down on the whole TikTok and Reels and Shorts thing. But Nath already does so much with his, like his own channel and his like own sort of social media presence. The last thing he wants to do is create more content, and I'm just bad at it.
It's a skill, man. It's a skill to learn the other platforms and how to understand what the viewer would like in these reels or something.
I think what would make it easier if there was just like one app that I could go onto and I could just post like the reel, the TikTok and the short all at once. And I have been looking into it, and there are a few of those apps around.
Hootsuite.
Because then I could just... What's that?
Hootsuite. That's one. I don't use it, but I know because it costs money. But there's a few apps, yeah.
Yeah. There's another one called One Up and stuff. But yeah, even Nathan said, and I'm a bit skeptical about, putting passwords for all 3 social media platforms into an app. So if anyone has any that they've tried and tested, feel free to let me know because it would make it so much easier. Like even with the scheduling of videos and stuff and creating the thumbnails and that, it takes time, man. It takes time.
Oh, it's so time consuming. Yeah. Like, I have an editor now. He helps take some of the workload off. He does like a lot of the shorts and reels, but I still do like half of them. He'll do the other half, but that's been such a lifesaver, but I'm still scheduling it and, captioning it. It's weird. Like once I figure out the content and it's all edited, I have the thumbnail ready. Sometimes the thing that takes me a really long time is just the damn title. I'm like, how do I title this video that people click on it, or like my YouTube shorts, or how do I make sure that people gravitate towards this? Because like, especially if you do more shorts, reels, and TikToks, not even the first 5 seconds, it's literally the first 2 seconds are like so important. If you can't grab them within like the first second, then your video, even though like it's a really good video, but if you don't grab them in the first second, then it won't do well in views. And it's stuff like that it's just, the whole social media engagement stuff can be, frustrating, and but it is a skill set. It is a skill set to understand viewers and what they gravitate towards, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I say go for the reels and TikToks. Like I personally, I think it is the future of social media. I feel like longer form content is becoming harder and harder for people to engage with. So that's why I've been kind of pushing it quite a bit. And the other person is Orion. Oh, sorry, not to get sidetracked, but we were talking about, you know, having buddies and this and stuff. And speaking of Orion, you know, he and I talk quite a lot too, because we're both from the same area, same age, and listen to a lot of the same bands like Protest the Hero. So we just click. We have the same birthday, which is weird too.
No fucking way.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. We're very like, we just click in a weird way, even though like our channels are like pretty different in our personalities, but we click. Yeah. But the thing is,
such a lovely dude,
though. He's so nice. He's so friggin' nice, dude. And he basically will text me about like certain, like, I don't know, feeling burnt out because he has a lot on his plate too. And so we actually kind of help each other out quite a bit because it's important, especially when the YouTube space is so isolating. He's actually coming over in like 2 hours. We're going to film some content. So
hell yeah.
I'm hanging out with 2 reactors in one day.
Hell yeah. No, man, I love the fact that the reaction community is, you know, for the most part, pretty connected, and there's a lot of respect for each other. And, you know, even when you get to the level of someone like Nick, you can always shoot him a DM and have a chat, and he'll always do his best to get back to you. And just, you know, I think it's such a positive space just to show the world that it's not competition. You know, it's not a competition. We all offer something different. At the core, it's the same thing, but the way it's done is different. And there's like, 7.6 billion people in the world. Man, there's a lot of different personalities. They need to resonate with people differently. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some people might hate the way we talk and act, but, you know, they'll love the way you do it. Some people might hate the way Orion reacts, but they'll love the way that Nick does it. Well, everyone loves the way Nick does it, but
yeah. Like I've done my best to make sure that we don't feel competitive too, because like I really don't like that mindset. I really have talked. Well, I've talked about it a lot in videos and stuff, but we're all indirectly helping each other. If someone checks out a really cool band, then there you go. There's content for us. Like, oh, I want to see your reaction to it. But like that's why I feel like I've had most of the reactors on my podcast, because I love chatting with you guys. Like we were saying earlier, it's like a little bit therapeutic to just vent out about all these things. So it is really nice to just chat once in a while. Also, it's a little bit like a brainstorming too, just kind of like. Because like we're all indirectly helping each other. So I try to not make it feel like a competition too. And I think some of the fans of our channels have noticed that it can be a little bit competitive, and I don't want them to make it feel that way. And another point is, actually, I don't know if you saw, but Rachel Reacts did a hiatus recently too. And that was a bummer to see. Like, I think all of us understand how tough it is, because again, like for me, you're alone, you're working on this, and you get so swamped by numbers and the pressure to do more and more. And then sometimes you don't even talk to these people for a while. Like I love Rachel Reacts, and I haven't talked to her for like a few months, and then seeing her go on hiatus, I'm like, no, we lost a good one. I think she'll come back, but still, it's just, I totally resonate with how she was feeling. So I don't know. I'm sure you saw the news.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I reached out and said, you know, that it's all going well. Because she is a lovely person. We haven't had much contact, sort of thing. But yeah, I just feel like there's the good thing with the reaction community and with the reactors is I think we get it. You know what I mean? Like you might not talk to those people all the time, but when something's going, it's like, I get it. I know where you're coming from. I've been there. I've felt the same way for whatever reasons. I get it, and just hope you're okay at the end of the day, you know, because you just, you don't want to see anyone struggling. You don't want to see anyone hurt, but I also respect when someone knows that that's the right thing for them, or at least trying something that could be the right thing for them as well. Yeah,
I totally agree.
Very important. It's not an easy job doing this stuff, like if you want to call it a job. But I mean, you know, like we all, I I don't think it's really competitive in the sense that everybody's doing their own thing, like I said. And, you know, we love the reactions, but we're seriously strongly pushing the more interview style content. We like chatting with bands. We like going to festivals and gigs and giving people an insight into, you know, that world. And if bands are happy to have us along and have us in their personal space, then, you know, we're going to do the best representation that we can, you know, for them and for the channel. And hopefully people like to do it. But fuck, man, the interviews thing is a hard slog. I can't believe that not as many people want to watch them.
Yeah, dude, I know. The podcasts are my least watched content, but what I do is I like I said about short form content, I clip it and I post on social media. It does so much better. It's just the little talking points, right? Which I'll probably do with this podcast too. Yeah, I know the interviews, like I've only done so many, but it is a slog for people to watch them. And that's where it's unfortunate, but for me, like resort to titles or captions to really pull in the viewer, because like it's good content and I stand by the titles, but how do I get these people to click? And one thing that I did a really fun podcast with Johnny from Health. You ever listen to Health?
Only briefly, and they were put on our path recently because I think they were in Australia just recently, but it was so busy and we missed them.
Yeah, well, I think you'd like them, dude. You definitely like chatting with them. Johnny was just super interesting, super funny. But yeah, the podcast, you know, it didn't do in really well for views. Like I'm happy with the views, but in comparison to my regular content, it's not that great. But I think it's like 2.6 thousand views on the podcast. And then I would clip it, one part where we were talking about I don't know if I think you might have seen it. But like Sleep Token and Bad Omens have a new genre, and it's called cum metal. That blew up, right? It got like over like maybe like 200,000 views or something. So
that's great.
Yeah, like that's what I mean about like the interviews are a slog to get people to watch, and I totally can relate. And I think that's where the short form content and the clips really come in handy. That's why all these podcasts have these like clips channels, right? To like, they work so effectively because people are like, why am I going to listen to this 2 hour long podcast for someone that I have kind of not the most interest in?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a long time, you know, to spend. And I know myself, man, because when I changed jobs, I'm now working locally. So I'm 25 minutes from work, whereas before I was working in you know, Sydney, so I was an hour and 15, and that's where I did all my podcast listening. You know what I mean? So I just put one on, and if I didn't finish it in the drive there, then I'd finish it on the way home, and it was so easy, you know. But now it takes me like 5 trips to and from work before I get through a podcast, and it's like always stopping 25, 30 minutes. You know, it's like some days just like, just give me a little bit of traffic.
I know, right? Yeah.
Or you're that guy that's like sitting in his car out the front of his house, still listening to something. And then everyone just thinks you're a fucking weirdo.
It's true. Well, speaking of podcasts, do you like actually listen to a lot of like podcasts or like maybe non-metal music outside the channel to just give yourself that palate cleanser?
I listen to heaps of non-metal music, man. Like I like a lot of sort of softer stuff, and you know, I like a lot of sort of more rock stuff as well, and punk. But for me, it's mostly heavy shit. But I don't listen to that much music in the car. I listen to music in the car when I've got my girlfriend or my kids in the car. Otherwise, I'm podcasts all the time, man. Comedy podcasts. That helps get me through my shit. Comedy podcasts or football, like soccer podcasts. Yeah, I don't even really listen to music podcasts.
Yep.
Because I feel like I just spend so much time doing music. It's like, no, man, let's put on Bad Friends or, you know, The Golden Hour and just have a laugh for an hour. Dude, that's what I want to do.
I'm the exact same. People in my community, in my Discord, will tag me like, oh, have you listened to this new podcast with this new band? I'm like, no, like, because it's, and I probably won't. I won't say it to them like that, but because like, I'm sure it's good content, but I need those breaks from like, it just makes me think of like, obviously this is a hobby that turned into a career, but it's still a job. So when I'm seeing stuff like that, I'm just like, it's still a job. So like, for me, I'm listening to podcasts, honestly, a lot of self-improvement podcasts. I really like it. It helps. But also comedy podcasts too. Like, dude, do you listen to Theo Von at all?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Theo Von. He's so funny.
I used to love King and the Sting when he was with Brendan Schaub, and they used to just do that thing where, you look like a gas station lesbian, and with that haircut and all these sort of things, you look like you sell, like knockoff DVDs out the back of Walmart. Like,
was this like
the way they
on YouTube, like a series or something?
Yeah, so it was. Do you know who Brendan Schaub is?
I recognize the name.
Yeah, he's on. He does like a lot of the Rogan Fight Companions.
Oh,
he's got his
that guy.
Yeah, and he has The Fighter and the Kid with Brian Callen, which is a funny podcast. But yeah, he had one with Theo, and most of it was just them ripping on each other, and it was absolutely fantastic. But Theo left, so now the podcast has changed, and it's got Chris D'Elia and Eric Griffin. Eric Griffin from Workaholics.
Oh,
yeah, and that's really funny as well. So, but I think my go-to now is Bad Friends with Chino Santino. And like Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee. It's just great.
That one. Yeah.
It's super lowbrow, man. Like, it's super out of line. It's just horrible jokes that you can't repeat in public, but it's so good, man. It's just so good.
Yeah. Another one is like the Tom Segura podcast. Two Bears, One Cave is pretty good, but Your Mom's House is good too.
Dude, are they couple goals or what?
A couple what?
Like couple goals. Him and Christina.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. They just have the best relationship, it seems. And she is fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
She put up a post, I think it was yesterday actually, that I was just like in stitches. I was losing it, man. She's like, put up a post and it's like something like great seats at the game. And it was like at an NBA game. And she's just zoomed in to the point that it's almost pixelated on one of the players' crotches. So you can see the outline of his dick in his shorts. And she's just like, great seats at the game. And I'm like, any other person's husband would be like, what the fuck are you doing? But it's just hilarious. And just, they work so well together.
No, she's hilarious. Look, I love their podcast. Anytime they have like a guest that I'm interested in, I'm definitely going to give it a watch. And this is actually a good segue because I don't want to take too much of your time up. I also have to get prepped for this Orion hangout too. But, I have some easy questions. Sometimes they're actually a little bit more difficult than easy for people. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious to know your top 3 favorite bands. I feel like I already know one of them or 2.
You know 2 of them.
Every Time I Die and Thrice.
That's it.
Hell yeah. Those are amazing
Third
picks.
one. Yeah. Third one's a hard one, man, because it's like, are they my current favorite band? Are they my favorite band of all time, like that I will constantly listen to? Or are they a band that was one of the reasons for getting me so heavily into music? But I would have to say, and I know it's super cringe, and I don't listen to them really, but I would definitely say that there's like 4 bands that could be my third favorite band. It'd be Kiss. Okay. And I know that's fucking horrible.
No, own it.
Dude, they were the first rock and roll band that I got into, and they showed the world that rock and roll could be so much more than just music. We would have no Slipknot stage shows, Parkway stage shows, none of that shit if it wasn't for Kiss.
Rock and roll all night, brother.
And party part of the day.
Every day, yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the day.
Yeah. Metallica was such a huge one for me. That was one of the first bands that I discovered on my own that really sort of kicked me into the heavy music. And then I would say Stick to Your Guns was such an important band for me, bridging hardcore and rock. And, I kind of got to say them because I got this tattoo on my hand.
Oh, damn.
But I would probably say, and it's not a band that I listen to all the time, but it's a band that I can listen to anytime, would be Amberlin.
Oh, that's an interesting pick.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so much depth to them and it never sounds juxtaposed.
I've only heard like their main singles and I like them, but I never really done a deep dive.
They're an interesting band. They were kind of one of the more obscure ones. Well, I won't say obscure, but like different sounding bands that came out of that sort of early 2000s emo, screamo crossover explosion. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just solid riffs, huge choruses, memorable tunes. Just a band that I can listen to at any time.
Nice. That's like Thrice for me. And actually, I figured like, why aren't we talking about this more? Like, this is both one of our favorite bands. Like, we can geek out. Let's geek out a little bit. Sorry for the people who don't know Thrice, but go listen to them. But maybe I'll explain how I got into the band, because for me, you know, I first started listening to like Foo Fighters and then Nirvana, and then bands like Refused, I guess, and Rise Against. And then my older brother was into like the metal stuff, so he showed me Thrice, and it was like Deadbolt. And I remember just being a kid, just like, whoa. And then I was like 13 years old when Artist in the Ambulance came out, so I was playing that in high school and stuff, and like people liked it too. And that band, it's just, you grow up with them because their style has changed so much. And one thing that I really love about them is that they never made music to like on the purpose of making sales, right? They just did whatever they wanted. Even Artist in the Ambulance, which is their most commercially successful, even when they wrote that record, they kind of like weren't trying to write cookie cutter core music. They made a stance that they don't want to be like other sounding bands. And then the Visu was completely different. And then even their newest albums are just like more like indie rock, hard rock. And I love everything that they do, because you just kind of grow up and your taste matures alongside them. But I want to know how you got into the band.
Probably similar to you. I actually found the song See You in the Shallows. It was on a compilation disc that came. Remember when music magazines used to come with CDs?
Yep.
And there was one song on there. I found so many bands that way. Like, that's how I found Glassjaw.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was See You in the Shallows on there. I was like, this is cool. This is like punk, but it's got like a little bit of a metallic edge to the guitars, and the production sounds heavy. So I checked them out because I liked that song. I went and got the album. And when the first track kicks in, like Kill Me Quickly, I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting this. And then it's just riffy song, punky song, riffy song. And then Deadbolt comes and you're just like, oh, holy shit, these guys can play. And I was in. But then obviously when Artist dropped, I was just like, oh, yeah, so this is the best band in the world. That's cool. Like, I'm okay with that.
Oh, man, they're so sick. So I just got to text Orion because he's like on his way. So can you give me...
That's right. I got about 10 or so before I got a jet to work. Ugh.
Cool. Okay, well, let's move on to the next subject, which is top 3 favorite movies.
Oh, shit. That's not fun. Oh, top 3 favorite movies. Okay. I'm going to say Logan, because I'm a huge comic book fan. Nice. And I was a huge Marvel fan. It's lost me a little bit recently, but Wolverine and Deadpool are my 2 favorite characters from anything ever. So Logan was just fantastic. And then I'm going to say Step Brothers, because I think it just encompasses my sense of humor entirely. And then, damn. You know, a movie that I could always watch over and over for whatever reason, like I should say Deadpool, but I'm going to say, and I don't know why, but I used to watch this movie so much and I can still put it on and enjoy it, is Black Hawk Down. Oh, that's kind of a weird one.
That's a good one.
But I loved it. Yeah. There was such an intensity and a realism to it that, yeah, just it was gritty and
intense,
but it still had that Hollywood flair. Yeah, so I'd say those.
Yeah, some good picks. I didn't know you were so into the superhero movies.
Oh, dude, I've got an entire Wolverine and Sabretooth leg sleeve.
Yeah? Yeah. Wolverine's a good pick. I love Wolverine.
Yeah. See, well, the hard thing is because horror is actually my favorite genre.
What? Same.
But yeah, dude, I try and leave those out of it though, because yeah. Have you seen that Thanksgiving?
What, like a brand new horror movie?
Yeah, it just come out.
No, I haven't even heard of it.
Dude, it's a slasher film done right.
Yeah?
It's brutal. I think it's Eli Roth that did it. So, but yeah, it's absolutely brutal. Cool story, cool concept, just done really right.
It's got good reviews. Okay, I'll definitely have it on queue.
Yeah, check that one out for sure. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, last one. Top 3 favorite foods.
Japanese food. Oh, do I have to pick a specific, or can I say styles of food?
Nah, go specific. Make it harder on you.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna go Japanese, and we're gonna go a pork katsu curry with a side of takoyaki.
Oh
yeah, dude.
So cultured. So cultured.
Yeah. I'm going back to Japan in April for the 3rd time. Fucking love it. It's the best.
Yeah, I'm jealous. But I've never been.
It's so good, man. Food number 2. Enchiladas.
Ooh.
Yeah. And look, I get that in Australia, our Mexican is probably dog shit compared to other places that are a little bit more Mexico adjacent. But still, I love them. And then I'm going to say eggs. Eggs. I go with everything, man. Like bacon and eggs, just egg sandwich, boiled eggs, fried eggs, whatever, man. Eggs are fucking sick.
It's so true. But it's just not the common answer, but they're so good. Like, yeah, eggs are fucking awesome. They don't get enough praise as they should. It's like the same thing as like potatoes. Like potatoes, like chips, French fries. Like I can bake potatoes, mashed potatoes.
Potatoes, dude. Oh, like I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm getting fucking hungry.
Damn. I know it's super early for you. It's like almost 5 o'clock now. Okay, well, look, I'll wrap it up because we both have other things to do. But dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure to chat with you. I really hope one day, I really would like to make a trip to Australia and just hang out. I feel like that's where I should be living, right? To be honest, like the metal scene's huge. The weather.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're gonna do it around like do it around summer, festival time, like Good Things Festival, Not Fest, something like that, and we'll do some fun shit.
Yeah,
we'll do some real fun. Be sick. But thanks for having me, man. Like we've been talking about this for a while. We didn't geek out as much on Every Time I Die and Thrice as I thought we would.
Yeah, but at the same time, people who probably don't care for those bands are like, whatever. But go listen to like, Thrice and Every Time I Die.
Some people are stupid, man. We can't help that.
True. But have a good day at the office with all the electrical stuff you got going on.
Yeah, I'm going to get out of my The Breakdown shirt.
I love it.
Get into my office attire. Yeah.
And good luck with the move and everything. The big step.
Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate ya. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon, dude. Have a good one. Peace.